Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the 11th video in our Dark Souls 3 Platinum Trophy Guide. Now, as of now, you should have more than 60-70% of the trophies earned so far. So all that should be left, well actually no, you should have more if you've done the uploading your save at certain points of time to do specific things, then you should be able to have all three endings as well. So you should have only 4 trophies left. That is all sorceries, all miracles, all pyromancies, and all gestures. The good thing to note though is that all of the gestures you will easily have before you get to Abyss Watchers in New Game Plus. So that is a good thing, and I'll go into detail about that right now, as all you have to do is go to Cathedral of the Deep, join Rosaria's Covenant, and defeat Heisel, who will invade you in the Crucifixion Woods in the swamp area where the crabs are, or after the third specific fire that you have to put out in Farron Keep, they'll invade you there too. So all you have to do is join Rosaria's Fingers, and then defeat the Red Phantom, and then from the actual second bonfire in Farron Keep, next to the slug, little slug tower that has the undead bone shard in it, you will find the sign for a Heisel, and you can summon them, and then they will give you the last and final gesture that you will have. Now, just to note that you should have in total roughly, I believe it's 33 gestures I will swap over to my actual main account that has gotten most of, if not all of the gestures. I will also leave links so you can actually checkmark and just double check everything for stuff like that. So we're going to swap over to the other character just for a quick check. Alright, now as you can see, we're on the main character, and we're going to just do a double check of counting. So yeah, as the same for this character, almost all of the gestures, as this character is technically still on its first playthrough, as I'll prove right here. Begin Journey 2, as what I did was I had uploaded my save for this character before I went to the New Game Plus, New Game Plus 2, and then I got everything that I needed to get, so that included having all of the rings and stuff like that, which I will go over. And then I had a friend help me out because he's also trying to work on getting the Platinum Trophy too. And I gave him rings and souls and stuff like that, which is why I have 99 of these 3 specific souls right here. And so yeah, so then I was able to come back, and then we duped stuff, of course, as cheesing Dark Souls 3 is probably the easiest and most efficient way of getting the Platinum Trophy. So yeah, as you'll see, I'll probably switch back and forth between this character and the other character, just to show you what all is what, as what all you'll need, and, you know, stuff like that, to be able to get in a single run. As the only thing I needed to do outside of the first playthrough and going into New Game Plus was getting all the souls needed to make stuff that have more than just one use, like a ring and a type of spell, sorcery, or miracle. And then from that, it's just covenant related farming. So yeah, so we're going to swap back over to the main. Alright, but now back on the main, we'll actually, if I can openly check, so you should have roughly a decent amount of all of the items. You can double check and just make sure that you have roughly, what is it, like 33, some, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, roughly 33 spells so far, and then it's 24 pyromancies, and then, let's see, 1, 2, 29, 32 miracles so far. And then, you know, just want to double check rings that you might have. You know, should look something similar to this in terms of base game. And, you know, just like I said, make sure that you've gotten all of the vendor items before certain amounts of time. You know, buy all the stuff that you can. And if you really want to, what you can do is from here, you can go back to the farming area at the Grand Archives, go up the elevator, and go fight the 3 winged knights with max farming gear, which will have something similar to the Shield of Want right here, which will increase the overall souls you get, having Silver Serpent Ring, you know, having Symbol of Avarice as well. Always good stuff to have. And yeah, so now basically it's just about farming. So I will make a specific guide on how to get all of the rings and the locations from each area in order that you would get them for the sake of it. So instead of having like go through and do all of the life rings, I will instead do it based on the area. So starting from High Wall of Lothric, you know, so on and so on, to make it a lot easier since you're already in New Game Plus and should be set up gear wise. So now it's just, like I said, farming specific covenant items. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know why I did that, but what I'm gonna do is actually make sure I can wear that, and we'll wear this. So for the most part, specific items that will increase your item discovery are Symbol of Avarice, Gold Serpent Ring. You can use the rusted coins right here, which you can buy from patches infinitely. And then as well as if you decide to make the Crystal Sage's Rapier, that'll also give you more item discovery. So from here, what we're actually going to do is I'm going to show you 2 specific spots that you can farm right now, as they have fairly decent drop rates. So if we go to Aldrich, Devourer of the Gods, this will be the first farming area I can show you. Alright, so from here, all you're trying to do is simply come out and fight the very specific... Just put on the Sun Ring to give me some survivability. These specific 3 enemies right here, as your weapon should be decent. They will take a little bit of time before they actually spawn anything, as you'll see right here. And you're simply just trying to get human dregs. You just need 10 of them. You don't need that much. And the game already does give you, I believe, 1. So yeah, we're already, you know, we already got 2. So that is the first one that you'll need to farm for. Like I said, you only need 10, so it shouldn't take you all that long. And then when you're done, go to the water reserve, hand those in to Archdeacon McGonagall, or I always mispronounce the name or ruin it. So from here we have another one, and that is actually in Farron Keep. And that is the Farron Keep perimeter. So from the Farron Keep perimeter, the next Covenant farming location that you'll need to know about is right out here, and it's going to be these dark wraiths that are walking on my left. Now you could do like how I mentioned before and simply try and lure one of them in to fight them one-on-one, and you'll simply just need to have 10 pale tongues. You do need to hand one in your first playthrough to do Rosaria's specific quest and stuff. But as you'll see, they'll go down fairly easily, and as you can see, very consistent drop rate. Like I said, these are 2 of the easier ones, so now we'll be going into the much more harder of the remainders, as there's at least still... There's still 4 more that we'll have to do. Luckily, the other one that's located is just right here at this same area, as this is the one I prefer. As if you come back here, you can farm these specific 3 enemies for Wolf's Blood Swordgrass. But there is one thing I will mention though, is that if you really want to, you can technically go into New Game Plus to get a free Wolf's Blood Swordgrass. As you can see right there, just got another one, or just got one. You will need 30 of those. But like I said, you can easily go into New Game Plus, and you can see you'll easily get 1 Sunlight Medal, 2 Proof of Concord Caps. You'll actually get 3 Pale Tongues in New Game Plus. You know, every single run, you'll get 1 Wolf Blood Swordgrass, you'll get 1 Human Dreg, and you can get 1 Vertebra shackle. And that is if you're in the Undead Settlements, you will get invaded by Hodrick. It's near the dilapidated bridge. So technically, when you're coming through the normal way of how you're supposed to progress through the Undead Settlement, is you're actually supposed to come from up here. And basically, when you're right around here, you're supposed to be getting invaded by Hodrick. And he'll come and he'll be right around here. He'll fight you and you'll kill him and you'll get a Vertebra shackle. But other than that, that's the only way to get a Vertebra shackle in the base game without actually having to farm specifically. So the next one I'll talk about is, let me try and find a good one. If we go to the Catacombs of Karthus. Alright, so from the Catacombs of Karthus, do notice that the ball will return. So just be mindful of that. So if you come this way, back the way you're supposed to come, and then you'll come fight these 2 skeleton boys. And they will drop possibly a Vertebra shackle. You can get their shields, you can get the their swords that they use and stuff like that. And it's basically just roam going back and forth. And resting at the bonfire to reset. This one will probably take you a decent amount of time to get, as they have a fairly low drop rate. So now we'll move on to the next one, and that is at Anor Londo. Alright, so this is probably the most infamous grind that anyone will be aware of, as this one can take anywhere from roughly a solid day of grinding to I can't even express into words how long it might take you to get all of the remaining 30. But like I said, if you want to make the grind a little less, you can go into New Game Plus and then pick up, you know, all that you can to reduce the overall amount of time, because then once you're in New Game Plus and then New Game Plus 2, enemies are going to be giving you way more souls, and then you can easily go to Rosaria and change your stats however you see fit, you know, to fit better, or just start leveling up every single thing. But yeah, so this one and doing the Catacombs one are going to take the longest. There is cheese for the Catacombs and for the next one that we'll talk about. And that is actually at Lothric Castle. Alright, so from Lothric Castle, Lothric, all you're going to be doing is aggroing this one guy and fighting him to the death. And he will drop sunlight metals possibly, and you can get his full gear. This one is probably the most efficient, as you simply just rest, run right at the guy. He has a pretty easy aggro range, and even if you die, you're like pretty close to the bonfire right here, as you'll see. And this will be how you get sunlight metals. But for the sake of things, we'll just take everything back off, put our armor back on, and then we'll talk very specific cheese back at home base. Alright, so now that we have the time to talk about things, specifically Covenant-related items, there are some things that you can cheese the game in, and there are others that you can't. So the best methods I can explain are Covenant-related items. So with sunlight metals, what you can do is, if you happen to have a friend who can upload their save to the cloud via PlayStation, or however means that you can on other systems, what you can do is have a friend make however many spare saves that you might need of them right before Vort. You know, you go through, you join the Sunbros, you then will have your the password system in the settings enabled, and then your friend can summon you no matter what level you are, and you can easily get sunlight metals by helping him defeat Vort. You know, you're going to be lower levels, so you'll still have the chance of dying, but in doing so, you easily have a bunch of character slots that are already right there at Vort. So that can be an easy way of cheesing sunlight metals. I don't know a specific cheese for Proof of Concord Keps. I wish I did, to make those so much easier. So yeah, we're not going to talk about Pale Tongues, Wolfblood Swordgrass, or Human Dregs, as they have pretty decent drop rates. But we will talk about Vertebra shackles, which will be the most annoying, as well as Proof of Concord Keps. But what you can do, technically, is joined Mound Makers, then place a red sign soapstone, which you'll get in the Cathedral of the Deep. And what you can do with that is, if you have your friend, like they have already defeated a boss in a specific area, you can then get summoned into their world as a red phantom first, give them the 30 embers that you would need, and then what you would do is, every time you would get summoned into their area, you will then kill them. You know, they'd re-ember up, you get resummoned, and every time you do that, you would then get a Vertebra shackle, making that way easier than normal to cheese getting those. And so that should make getting most of the farming items a lot easier for the most part. So like I said, Human Dregs, Wolfblood Swordgrass, and Pale Tongues all have very high drop rates, as well as, you know, being easier to obtain. There is another, like, if you really wanted to, for the Wolf's Blood Swordgrass, there is a much easier bonfire that you could go use, and that's the Keep Ruins bonfire, as if you go there and then turn around, there'll be those 3 grooves on the bridge. The downside, though, is some of them will fall off the bridge when you defeat them, so you then have to waste time going down into the swamp to pick up their, you know, their body, see what they dropped. But that's just possible options if you want to. I will actually be offering said service for doing that in Dark Souls 3 for just a couple dollars, you know, depending on what all you need. So, like, if you guys would want sunlight metal farming, I could easily do that. If you guys would want vertebra shackle farming, I could easily help you guys with that. If you guys would want all of the rings or souls or specific items, I would be totally fine with doing that for just a small, nothing too major expensive. You know, just something to help people out, you know, reduce the grind of Dark Souls 3. You know, easily make your first playthrough even better, because what I can do is, since I don't have any weapon that is actually upgraded other than my sellsword twin blades, which is the only weapon I'm going to be using for the most part, I could easily go into New Game +2 on this character, get every, you know, all the rings, souls, stuff like that, or I could just hop back over on my main character, stuff like that, you know. It's just a possible option. I will leave a pinned comment for anybody who is curious about that or interested. You could easily, you know, leave a comment on this video, or you could message me directly on PlayStation. It's the same name as my YouTube name. So now I'm actually going to just double check miracles, spells, and stuff like that, just to make sure I have everything that you can get in the first playthrough. That is not Covenant related, of course, or soul related. So I will just be double checking that with what I have bought versus what is on the list, just to make sure. And then if there's anything I missed, I will have a small clip of me going and picking it up. So yeah. Alright, so yeah, as of now, the only sorcery that I have left to get in the base game, which is what you will need, you don't have to do DLC, is just Great Deep Soul for reaching rank 1 in the Aldrich Faithful Covenant, and that's just to get 10 human dregs. And then we're going to move on to pyromancies. Alright, so one of the pyromancies that you might have missed is one of the ones that I mentioned found in the lava areas. So if we head on down, we can easily go and grab those. Whew. That's close. So if we just come this way, as you'll see, I have plenty of armor and fire resistance overall. But the first one that you're trying to grab is going to be back here, down this little pit. So if you have flash sweat, hopefully let's see how well this goes. It will probably be more or less a suicide run, but we'll grab the toxic mist. Try and come back here. As you'll see, we are taking a lot of damage. But from here, we can then head the main path. Note, I do not have a fire resistance ring on, so that might give you more survivability. But if we actually come down to where you're supposed to fight Night Slayer Sorig, that'll be where we grab the next one. But basically, I'm just using Morn's helmet, winged knight, chest piece and gloves, and then Morn's legs, as those give the highest amount of fire resistance or absorption. So coming down here, we can then once again apply our flash sweat, and then start running in. Grab the Sacred Flame. If you want to come over here and grab this item, why not while we're here? It's an ember, of course. And then we can be done. So this is kind of what the build looked like to give me some survivability. You can buy Morn's armor set from the Handmaiden at this point in time in the game. So now I'm going to head back and just double check everything else is a-okay, that we have all the pyromancies besides specific covenant items. Alright, so as of now, the only pyromancy for the base game that you shouldn't have is Warmth, which just requires you to have level 2 of Mound Makers, which requires the 30 Vertebra shackles. So now we're going to move on to Miracles. Alright, so as of now, the only miracles that you should have left to get are simply from the Dark Moon Blade. Let's see what else you might need. Great Lightning Spear, and then I believe it's Sacred Oath. Those should be the last 3 miracles that you need. So as of now, if you've been following the guide that I have done, then you should only have Covenant related things left, and then just going into New Game Plus for gestures, and then rings. But I do hope that these guides have been helpful, as the next video will probably actually be the last one directly, as of now you should have all of the information that you need to get the Platinum Trophy. It's just then obtaining all of those things, you know, because you'll just need get Covenant items and all the rings. Like I said, if you want to speed up that process, I will gladly help with servicing, giving you all the rings so you don't have to worry about that, giving you souls, helping you farm specific Covenant related items. I will gladly help with doing that. But this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you all in the next one. Alright, now one thing I did forget to mention is how if you are about to go into New Game Plus anyways, one thing you want to do is specifically go and defeat or kill some NPCs around the game, especially if you're not going to be purchasing anything from them in the future. So you could basically just buy the remaining rusted coins that you want from patches, and then you just defeat him, as he will give you a very specific ring that you do need to grab, the Horsehoof ring. And then there is one more specific NPC that you do have to defeat that will give you an item, and that is the giant archer found in the Undead Settlement, as I will warp now to that when we do that and get the ring. And as you'll see, sadly, having to defeat the big guy who's been helping us out so much gets us the Hawk Ring. Like I said, you do have to do these specifically to get these 2 specific rings. I don't know why I said it like that in that specific way, and I keep saying it, I need to stop. But yeah, basically you have to do this, as you can't just go into New Game Plus and find them as a random drop anywhere. So yeah, sadly, if you're going to go into New Game Plus, just remember to do that. Just save yourself some time and trouble. What's that? Looks like in Orlando. Huh. But yeah, so this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and this has been the 11th video in our Platinum Trophy Guide. Just going over Covenant items, farming, and just double checking and making sure that you have everything that you need to get before going into like New Game Plus and stuff like that, or just specific things that you can only get from Covenants now, and then just getting the gestures and rings and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, the last thing that you need to get gesture wise is just go and summon Heisel before you go fight the Abyss Watchers, and that's it. So see you all in the next one officially, finally. One small note that I will actually talk about is that if you do happen to have the DLC for Dark Souls 3, you can go and access them for some +3 rings. Like if you go to the Ringed City, you can go and grab the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +3, which will greatly increase your item discovery. As you'll see, the original just gives you 50, but from having a +3, you go from 115 to almost double your item discovery just from one ring alone. And then, you know, if you also have the crystal sage's rapier and, you know, rusted coins and the symbol of avarice, as you'll see, we usually have a 331 item discovery, and then the rusted coins will give us another 50, almost putting us at 400. And then on top of that, you also have your luck stat, which you could level up. So I figured I'd just mention that. And then I'm also going to include in this video me getting the final spell from Aldrich's Covenant and giving those, and then going and getting the items from Rosaria and New Game Plus, and then summoning Heisel so you could see what the gesture looks like. Alright, now as you'll see here, we're about to hand in our dregs and get the final sorcery of the game. And this should net you the trophy for having all of the sorceries. Now up next we will have giving all of the pale tongues that we have to Rosaria, and then going and summoning Heisel. Woo!